The UFC is back with a fight night. Dern versus Ribas, the rematch that somebody asked for. Not sure who. But we are here, and it is actually going to be a good scrap. Both of these ladies actually do always bring a great fight, and we will be making predictions throughout the entire card, prelims and main event. Throughout the picks, you will see little symbols like our bet-friendly favorites, and we will also have our emotional underdogs that I may recommend. Not a ton of underdogs. Some of our fights got scrapped that we had great picks for, but we'll go ahead and get into it. So first, we have Aliev versus Selecki. Okay, so for me, this is a terrible grappling matchup for Selecki. I think Aliev is got a great anti-guard game, good takedown entries, and once he gets you in on that top position where he is driving his head into your chin, he has mastered that area. Making you give up bad positions, not allowing you to start up any sort of guard. And once you give him any space to posture up, the ground and pound is insane. So we're going with an easy Aliev. Now, before this, it was Aliev versus Ashmuz. Ashmuz they were these exact same odds that I have on screen now. I'm probably adjusted since then when I put these in here, but Ashmuz was the exact same odds, and that was crazy to me. As like a 23, 24-year-old Aliev, Ashmuz had great offensive wrestling in his last fight. And I really think he would have actually tried to wrestle Aliev back and make a lot of good moves, and he keeps his hands down and would have been able to take block the takedowns, in my opinion. But we got Selecki now, and I just don't think this is a good matchup for her. I think you're really safe with picking Aliev here. Next, we got this. Look, any women's fight, you should not have odds like this. I'm picking Klein, but unless your name is Amanda Nunes, what are we doing here with minus 1,000 plus 700? Both these ladies lost their last fight. Klein losing to the better fighter in Jasuda Fisius. Dudakova losing to Sam Hughes last. I don't know why the odds are this separate. Dudakova definitely has better boxing than Klein. Dudakova may have a gas tank issue. At least she presents that in her fights, but she can still carry on through to the end and put out some sort of output. But I have no reason to believe that this should be this split apart. Klein is coming down a weight class, so she might have a bit of a weight advantage. But to be honest, I'm picking Klein, but to be honest, no shame in putting a little bit on Dudakova. No shame. Tapology actually has him like about 50-50 on picks too. Dudakova could absolutely outpoint Klein and defend takedowns possibly. It is not bad to sprinkle a little bit on Dudakova. So I would obviously not bet on Klein minus 1,000 odds. It's not worth it. But sprinkling a little bit on Dudakova is not a bad move here. Next we'll be moving on to Gadzhiyasulov versus Lopes. Both men facing Brinson Ribeiro in their careers. Gadzhiyasulov beating Brinson Ribeiro in the majority decision. Lopes losing via knockout. But something I did notice was that Gadzhiyasulov was very vulnerable to leg kicks, and something in this matchup is that they're going to be southpaw orthodox, and I don't think Lopes is going to be available to catch those leg kicks that Gadzhiyasulov was so prone to catching. Lopes more so good at stepping in with knees to the body and landing big shots, but I think Gadzhiyasulov is a bit more dynamic, bit better with the movements on the outside, and I think he's going to be able to do similarly to what Brinson Ribeiro did and land a shot down the middle. I don't know if he's going to be able to knock out Lopes, but I do think he's going to win a decision over the 3 rounds. So we're going to go with Gadzhiyasulov. Probably wouldn't bet on this one, though. Lopes definitely has finish potential here. Okay, next we're going on to Kareckaite versus Caliari. Now, this was actually a tough one to pick because Kareckaite is not experienced, comes from a swimming background actually, has a great gas tank, great chin, will go to war. Her Contender Series fight, a lot of people said that was one of the best fights of the year. They went to war. Great Contender Series fight. If you haven't watched it, go back, see that one. But going against a very interesting opponent, Caliari, who likes to use Muay Thai, likes to use a lot of judo throws, too. Very, very strong judo throws as well. Would use her throws against grapplers too, who would catch them out of nowhere. So Caliari has a real chance in this fight, and it was hard for me to make this decision because Kareckaite, although she's new to the game, she's rapidly improving, and with that athletic background, I have a hard time picking against her. Her boxing's pretty decent, and I think she's going to outpoint Caliari over the 3 rounds. And although she may get down a couple times, I think she has also shown that she can defend once she gets used to the takedown in the fight and what Caliari is going to bring. I think she's going to get used to maybe get taken down early, but as the second and third round come, I think she's going to take over and win a decision here. Next, we have Preston Parsons with a last-second replacement, sadly a worse matchup for him, in Jacobe Smith coming out of AKA. It sucks, but you're going to have to go with Jacobe Smith here. He's coming in with his UFC debut, and I think he's going to grapple the hell out of Parsons, and I think it's gonna be a rough night for him. I think this is a pretty solid pick to go with here, but man, very unfortunate for Parsons to be against Gustafsson initially and have pretty close split odds, and then coming into this where he's kind of looking down the barrel of a matchup he wasn't ready for. Unfortunate, but I think Jacobe Smith can get the job done here. Now, Jacobe Smith is under the similar circumstances of coming in short notice, so we'll see how he's coming in. But if it's his UFC debut, you gotta be thinking that he's been training, getting ready for this, especially at a gym like AKA. So going with Jacobe Smith for sure. Next, we'll be going Thiago Moisés versus Ogden. Click that a little early, but man, Moisés. Guess what age he is and how long he's been fighting. He's 29. I can't even believe this man has not even hit 30 yet. He's only lost to like the best guys. Like his recent losses are against Ludovic Klein, who is on a tear right now, Benoit Saint-Denis, who although has taken some bad losses, they're to ranked top 10, 15 fighters. And Joel Alvarez, also in that same camp, and then Islam Makhachev. These are his losses. You have to take that into consideration, that he was competitive in a lot of those losses. And although Trey Ogden is a very entertaining fighter, I love watching him, I think with Moisés now going to the Fighting Nerds and taking in more technique, enhancing his game, where he's still at an age where he can evolve and he's coming into his prime, I really think Moisés is going to come out here and the grappling is going to definitely nullify each other on both sides. If anything, I think Moisés would have the advantage a little bit at the edge in there. So I think they're going to end up striking, and I think Moisés has just made strides, a lot of strides in his striking. So we're going Moisés, and I'm going with a confident pick here too. I think that's one of your bet-friendly faves right there. So going with Moisés on that one. Next we got Tulio versus Potieria, one of the most hated fighters in the UFC, Potieria, taking pretty bad losses to the likes of Michel Pereira. I know he's been knocked out by other people too, but he's been given a lot of tough matchups. I think he had a César Almeida last time, and that show was a circus. Held his own. I think he went even to the decision with Almeida. I may be wrong on that one, but Potieria is entertaining. He is an entertaining fighter. He talks a little crap in there, likes to taunt, but from Tulio's last fight and who he fought in the Contender Series, very similar to Poteria's style and how he stands and his stance and what shot selection he has. And Tulio handily disposed of that guy. So I can understand actually the big odds here. I can understand that from what we recently saw. So you got to go with Tulio here. Not that I feel bad about picking against Potieria, but it's pretty obvious from what we saw in Tulio's last fight that he's kind of built to beat a guy like Potieria. So we'll see, but I think that's an easy pick right there. And then we got the tallest flyweight I think ever in the UFC at 6'0" and Jose Johnson versus Bunes here. This was also a tough one. Because being a 6 foot flyweight, yes, you get length, but you're also probably not as well balanced, meaning people who go for your legs are going to be able to knock you down a lot easier. Think about like a Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley type of situation. But Bunes is also a bit one of those taller-ish flyweights at 5'7". So can he even get under Jose Johnson is my question. I don't think so, actually. I think Bunes is actually vulnerable to the body. I think Johnson's going to have great front kicks that are going to hurt a lot over time, and I think he's going to either outpoint or he's going to get Bunes out of there. I really do think that. Joshua Van, obviously completely opposite body type to Johnson, I think exposed how you can light up Bunes' body early, and you can really wear him down over time. So I'm going to go with a Johnson. I think he's going to actually finish Bunes. I really do. I think all that damage he took in his last fight and all the things that he was able to see, I think Johnson's going to be a good pick here. Moving on to the main card bouts. Pretty good action up and down this card too. First we got Soriano versus Uros Medic. Tough one to call. Soriano being at the plus money, coming down to welterweight to fight Medic too. We saw in Medic his fight with Orolbai got absolutely steamrolled in the grappling. But the thing is, Medic was trying his damnedest to get up. He was trying his damnedest to break grips. He was trying his damnedest to get off the fence. He was trying until eventually he had to take some risks. He had to give his back to maybe get up so he can actually maybe come back and knock Orolbai out, because at that point he was down on the scorecards. Gave up his neck and Orolbai choked him out. And now you got to think Soriano coming down, fighting the likes of Roman Kopylov, going through a lot of guys that are just that much bigger than him and that much faster, and just, I don't really like Soriano's style. He kind of crashes in a lot and tries to initiate the grappling. I just don't like that style, but sadly, I really think the weight advantage and what he saw in the Orolbai fight, it's really just a question, can Soriano, can he repeat that? Does he have the gas tank to repeat that? Does he have that I can be ahead the next step to repeat that? And I didn't pick a single underdog on this card, and I don't like picking an underdog because I haven't picked one yet. So it was kind of, I actually had Medic down first, but what I saw in the Orolbai fight, I really want to believe that Soriano and his team saw that, understand they have the weight advantage, understand they need to crowd Medic, get him to the fence early, and drain that gas tank early. They need to. You cannot stand and strike with Medic. He's a great striker. So I'm going to go with Soriano. I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to get Medic down. I think it's going to be a decision. I don't think Medic, I don't think he's going to finish Medic via submission. I think Soriano is going to get the grappling going early, hopefully, and then maybe land big shots because Medic is worried about that grappling. But this was a tough one to call. But we're going to go Soriano here. Next, we got Christian Rodriguez, the prospect weight missing killer. C-Rod, up at featherweight, though, so he's not going to be doing that this time. I think we got to go with Bashi. If you watched C-Rod's previous fight with Julian Erosa, the moment Julian Erosa took his back as easily as he did, and seeing how good Bashi is and how quickly he can get on you and swarm you, C-Rod's a great grappler in his own right. Don't get me wrong. I think Bashi is just too big at this weight class for him and is just too fast, too strong, too much skill. I think he's going to overwhelm C-Rod. How C-Rod wins this fight is playing really good fundamentals and staying safe early and catching Bashi's mistake. Because although Bashi does have all these athletic abilities, you can make mistakes in those fast exchanges. And that's where C-Rod can maybe take advantage, but I just don't think that happens. Whenever I saw Julian Erosa take the back, I think that sealed it for me, honestly. And I think that's a safe bet. I think it's a safe bet to pick Bashi here. I think you got a guy undefeated who's about to surge up these unranked rankings of the featherweight. But we will see. It's got a lot of ways to go. Next, probably the people's main event for this card for a lot of people, Chris Curtis versus Roman Kopylov. Both men bringing action, no pun intended. Chris Curtis, it's hard to pick him. Not a lot of variety in the shot selection nowadays in terms of anything but the hands. And for a guy like Roman Kopylov, who's been kickboxing as long as he has, man, it's just hard not to see him lighting up Curtis from every angle and cutting through his guard. Curtis has a great guard, tucks his chin really well, his shoulders, really cuts and slides those shots off that come at him. I just don't think he's going to be ready for the variety and the speed and the power of Kopylov. I think Roman Kopylov is a really, really good fighter. I think Kopylov is learning very quickly in the game of MMA, even at an older age of, I think, 32, maybe even going on 33. I just think Chris Curtis has seen his time, and they've given him a incredibly difficult matchup. They didn't do him any favors. They gave him another striker, which is probably what he wanted, to be fair. It's probably what he wanted. But, yeah, no, we got to go with Kopylov here. It pains me because I love both of these guys in terms of watching them fight in their style, but it's hard not to pick against Kopylov here. Next, we got César Almeida versus Abdul Razak Alhassan. Abdul Razak Alhassan, obviously known for dropping bombs on people, and lost sadly his last fight by either DQ. He's either no contest or DQ from back of the headshots to Cody Brundage. But before that, I mean, Abdul was going off on Brundage. It was classic Brundage style how he ended up winning that one. So, but that being said, Abdul Razak Alhassan is 39 years old. César Almeida, Glory Kickboxing, legend. He's gonna be ready for Abdul. He's gonna be very ready for what he's going to bring. He's seen it before, and it's. I think we may even see a finish in this one. I think Almeida will finish that. Also, I think it's also I missed that. Good. It's a favorite bet. Bet friendly favorite over here for Kopylov. I think that's a very safe bet. I think Curtis lets fights get away from him. Just to add that on to the end. But yeah, you got to go with César Almeida here. This is another easy pick. These odds make a lot of sense. The reason probably why they're not as bad as Tulio Potieria is because Alhassan always has that X factor. He always has that one shot that he could land, but I think Almeida knows how to roll with his shots. He knows how to get out of the way. It'll be okay for him. Yeah, César Almeida is going to keep on moving up, but I can't really see him going, like, where does Almeida end? Where is his ceiling, I just can't really see him going much farther past this, sadly, but going to be a good fight. That's probably going to be a banger. High finish potential in that one. All right, next we're moving on to our co-main event. Our boy Santiago Ponzinibbio against Carlston Harris. This one was a tough one as well. Carlston Harris in his previous fight getting knocked out by Chaos Williams. Ponzinibbio losing a close decision to Muslim Salikov. I'm going to go with Ponzinibbio. I think he's going to knock Carlston Harris out. I know it's recency bias. A little bit of recency bias is in there. We just saw Carlston Harris get knocked out. But from what I'm seeing, at least in Ponzinibbio's head movement that he showed in the Muslim Salikov fight, and from what I've seen Harris being exposed to, standing very tall, chin a little bit up in the air, hands in a good spot, but chin definitely up in the air, and Chaos Williams was able to take advantage of that off of his head movement and angling on Harris, which I think Ponzinibbio can do, and he can even get a finish here. He can. I think he can get an early finish, if anything. He can get a round one finish. It's going to be close, though. It's going to be close. Once we see it get past the halfway through the second round, we might start seeing a different fight. But we're going with Ponzinibbio here. We're going to go with the legend, all right, before his injury. All right, this guy could have been champ, all right? Don't forget that. On to our main event. 5 rounds. Previously 3. Dern versus Ribas. Ribas winning the previous one in a pretty good fashion, too. Getting her own takedowns on Dern and being the one on top. Man, and it's hard. It sucks, too, because in Mackenzie Dern's previous fight against Lupita Godinez, made massive improvements to her jab and her cross. If you've seen Mackenzie Dern's jab cross in the Ribas fight, it is no offense, because obviously Dern, you're much better grappler than I'll ever be. The 1-2 was awful. Oh man, it's not fun. It's not fun to watch. And it makes you nervous for Dern. But in the Lupita Godinez fight, she fixed that up really good. Really good. The jab and the cross were on point that night. She fixed a lot of holes. Still keeps her hands a little low. Not a lot of head movement still. So maybe we'll see some improvements there. But even Dern was going jab, cross to the body, up top with the left hook, implementing more tools. And that's mainly what you want to see, implementing more tools and being more defensively minded. All right. The thing is, Ribas's grappling is at such a good level is that Mackenzie Dern can't even get her down to the ground. The takedowns aren't really there for Dern. The only takedowns I've seen work on Ribas from what I've been seeing are quick single legs where you're tripping out the leg as you're blasting through. And even those, Ribas has the scramble ability to get back up. Now in the Namajunas fight, she did get held down in half guard. And that's where Dern can win this fight, is getting her in that half guard. You have to get her in that half guard in the center of the octagon. You cannot give her the fence. Ribas, I think, will get up. She has got a great gas tank and will not quit. Ribas is one of those fighters that will not quit and will keep throwing and has great shot selection and great variety in her shots. Throws spinning kicks, throws shots to the body, shots to the head, shots to the legs, goes all over. I don't like how she holds her hands and not very efficient with her feinting and her movements. Uses a lot of energy, but her gas tank is fine. I just think it's a lot of wasted movement. And there is a possibility that the improvements of Dern could mean that the striking gap closes a bit. But for me, I almost picked Dern. I don't think it's enough. I don't think the improvements Dern has made is going to be enough. I think, if anything, Ribas has probably made even more improvements in her grappling, preparing for this, and it's even gotten pushed back more to give her even more time to improve the grappling. And her striking is already a lot better than Dern's. It already is. And so it's hard not to pick her. We're going to have to go with Ribas there. We're going to have to go with Ribas. And honestly, it's a good bet. It's a good bet. It's a good bet. I'm looking at all the tools of both ladies and just looking at the grappling defense of Ribas. Yeah, it's tough. She gets caught in takedowns by strikers who are setting up their takedowns really well, like Namajunas did with her single legs. So I have to pick against Dern. Sorry, Mackenzie. Moving on to the parlay of the card. We're going with Jacobe Smith, Roman Kopylov, and Tulio. All right, these are the three we're going to be going with. I think Jacobe Smith being the short notice step in and being a bad stylistic matchup for Parsons, and Kopylov just having the too much variety on Curtis, and Curtis really needing. I don't see how Curtis wins the decision on this one. Truly, I think he needs to finish Kopylov if anything, and that's a incredibly difficult task. And Tulio, that's one of your safe placements in your parlay there. Tulio is going to probably knock out Potieria in brutal fashion, and I imagine. So that's going to be our parlay of the card. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Tell me what you think I got wrong. Tell me what you think I got really right with my explanations. I'd love to hear y'all's feedback. Please let me know. And I'll catch you this weekend when I stream. I'll be doing a fight companion for Mackenzie Dern, Ribas. And I'll also be doing a fight companion for LFA 199 coming up. That pick video will probably drop either tonight or tomorrow. But thank you. See you guys next time.